Welcome to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, Simi Valley, California. Here is your chance to see amazing artifacts from the most important archaeological discovery of the 20th century, the Dead Sea Scrolls. In 1947, a Bedouin shepherd was looking for a lost goat in the hills above the northern shore of the Dead Sea, located in the desert outside of Jerusalem. He threw a rock inside of a dark cave and heard a pottery jar break. When he entered the cave, he found ancient scrolls that had been hidden for nearly 2,000 years. When the Bedouins realized that they could sell the scrolls to collectors and scholars, a mad search ensued. Between 1947 and 1956, 10 other caves and over 900 different scrolls were discovered. Eventually, the scrolls made their way to scholars, who identified them as Jewish religious texts written between the years 250 BC and 67 AD. They were written on parchment, which is animal skin, with black ink made from carbon soot scraped off of olive oil lamps. The scrolls contained copies of every book of the Hebrew Bible/Old Testament except one, and they predated all other existing copies of the Bible by over 1,000 years. The Dead Sea Scrolls exhibit at the Reagan Library offers viewers the opportunity to see 8 authentic scrolls, as well as many other amazing artifacts from this spiritually historical time period. Here are some of the highlights of this incredible exhibit. Stone ruins of a monastic community at Qumran lie within sight of the caves where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. Herein lies the reason that the scrolls still exist today. In 66 AD, there was a war between the Jewish people and the Roman Empire. Scholars believe that a group known as the Essenes, who were living at Qumran, hid the scrolls before the Romans defeated the Jewish people and forced them out of their homeland. Here are 2 Roman cannonballs and other projectile weapons that were used during the war. The Roman 10th Legion remained in the area for over 200 years. Here are pottery bricks that they made which bear the 10th Legion insignia. The brick on the left side of this shot shows the imprint of a Roman soldier's sandal that was left there 2,000 years ago. Here are stone remnants of the Jewish temple that the Romans destroyed in 70 AD. This is a large stone from the temple wall that the Romans knocked down. You can see both sides of it, and it is one of the only items in the exhibit that visitors are allowed to touch. Of the nearly 900 scrolls found in the Dead Sea caves, there are more copies of the Book of Psalms than any other book from the Bible. More than 30 copies were found among the 11 caves. This Book of Psalms scroll is the longest and best preserved scroll in the exhibit. It's written in Hebrew and reads right to left in a continuous stream without any punctuation. The Psalms appear in a different order, and the scroll contains several verses that do not appear in the version of the Bible that we know today. Arid temperatures and low humidity are what help to preserve the scrolls, but the Psalm scroll shows moisture damage in its lower region. Of particular note on this scroll is the Tetragrammaton, which is the 4-letter name of God written throughout the scroll. It's written in a Paleo-Hebrew, which is different than the Hebrew used in the rest of the scroll. If you visit the exhibit, try to see how many places that you can locate the name of God. The most important non-biblical scroll in the exhibit is labeled Beatitudes. It's written in Aramaic, the language spoken by Jesus of Nazareth, and contains the lines, "Blessed is the man who attains wisdom, blessed is he who speaks the truth, and blessed are those who cling to his statutes." It's the same literary form that Jesus uses in the Sermon on the Mount when he reveals his own Beatitudes in the book of Matthew. The Ten Commandments scroll from the book of Deuteronomy is one of the most significant finds from the Dead Sea Caves, and there's an interactive display showing how the scroll appeared when it was originally used for liturgical services all those years ago. The majority of the Dead Sea Scrolls are non-biblical. They describe rules, rituals, and practices of the desert community at Qumran that isolated itself from the Jewish temple and called its members the Sons of Light. Over the course of the exhibit at the Reagan Library, different scrolls will be rotated in, giving visitors a glimpse of the spiritual map of ancient Israel, an insight into the historical period from which rabbinical Judaism and Christianity emerged. The Magdala stone is another highlight of the exhibit. It's a limestone table that was used in a first-century synagogue. The Torah and other sacred scrolls were placed upon it to read. It depicts the Jerusalem temple and contains the earliest known synagogue carving of the temple menorah. It was discovered in 2009 in Magdala on the western shore of the Sea of Galilee. Magdala was the home of Mary Magdalene, one of the prominent followers of Jesus. Another incredible archaeological find from the northwest shore of the Sea of Galilee is the so-called Jesus boat. It was uncovered in 1986 when there was a drought that revealed a first-century fishing boat in the offshore mud. There is no evidence to tie it directly to Jesus, but it does offer an insight into the type of boat that Jesus and his disciples would have used. The boat in the exhibit is a replica, but there are pieces of wood from the original boat on display. Thanks for joining me on this tour of the Dead Sea Scrolls. I invite you all to visit this incredible exhibit at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. It runs until September 2nd, 2025. See you there.